What's going on, everyone? So, I haven't talked a lot about Devin Vassell. I've touched on him here and there, but he's somebody that is a foundation piece and cornerstone for the San Antonio Spurs, right? Him, Stephon Castle, Victor Wembanyama are kind of the three building blocks that the Spurs are using for the foreseeable future. Obviously, if the right piece ever becomes available, maybe that could change. Not with Victor, but, you all of a sudden get Devin Booker is available, right? Maybe all of a sudden Devin Vassell becomes available to package in, but the Spurs have him up there on the list of like, there's very few guys we would trade him for, right? And I mean, he's still very young, 24 years old, right? He's coming off of a very solid season. Obviously, he still has a lot of growing and development ahead of him, but this is a guy, 33 minutes a game, gave you a hair under 20 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, give you one steal a game, right? 80% from the foul line, 55% EFG, 54.4% from 2-point range, on 6.6 attempts, 37%. Even the previous year, he was 38, almost 39% on 7 attempts per game. Shoots around, 47.2% on 15.5 attempts last season. So again, great numbers at the 2 guard spot, right? Still very young, plenty of upside, plenty of growth, plenty of potential, right? This is a guy that we've seen just when he's cooking, right? And so he's a guy that I am excited to see this upcoming season. Like, what does he look like alongside Chris Paul? What does he look like alongside another year of just, Victor Wembanyama? Now you got the Harrison Barnes and all that stuff, right? Like, can Devin Vassell kind of take the next step? Can he take the next leap? Can he kind of, start moving into that like top shooting guard conversation, right? Now, again, the NBA, at least currently, isn't flushed with like an insane amount of 2 guards, right? There's guys that like on a night can do great, but like, outside of just like a handful of guys, right? Devin Vassell could be in that mix, right? But I'd like to see him really, can he bump up to, 23 a game, right? Can he get closer to 40% from 3-point range, right? Can he continue to remain efficient and effective? And I do think that with the current Spurs roster, I do think he has a lot of potential in that regard to start those steps of like, okay, now he's starting to get in the, all-star level, like type of shooting guard, right? It's the Western Conference. The Western Conference is just flushed with guards. So I don't necessarily think he'll be an all-star, or even if he jumps up to like 25 a game, I don't think he'd necessarily be an all-star, but I'm talking about that level, right? You look at a guy like a Jamal Murray, for example, just as an example, right? He's had seasons where he's never won an all-star, but he's been a clear all-star level type guy. Can Devin Vassell be that? Can he be, like I said, a 23 to maybe 25 a game guy? He was right there at 20. And now he's a guy that, is going to be playing alongside other talent, which is another reason why I think this is kind of interesting, right? Because, you look at the addition of Stephon Castle. How much does he get to play? How much opportunity does he get? Does he take minutes and opportunity from Vassell, right? I know Castle is, the idea is to eventually have him move into that point guard position, but does Pop do that right away? Or does he kind of split time? Because you still have like Trey Jones and stuff. Does Stephon Castle split time between the point guard and the 2 guard, right? How many minutes does he play with Devin Vassell? What type of role does he have right out the gate, right? Pop usually, even did it with Victor Wembanyama, usually early in the season, kind of brings them in slowly, right? Like, wouldn't be shocked if Castle's only getting like 20 minutes a game early on, right? I mean, there were concerns and questions about just Victor's minutes early on, right? So I could see Pop kind of taking his time, easing him in, but as the season progresses, he usually likes to start ramping these guys up and start getting them in, like you saw with Victor. He went from like 25 minutes a game on most nights to all of a sudden he's playing 35, right? So like, does he kind of do the same thing with Castle? Then you have the Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes edition, right? Chris Paul's probably going to have the ball in his hands most of the time, right? Devin Vassell might end up having to play a little more off ball than he's used to, right? Not saying that he doesn't now or that he's not capable of it, but Chris Paul, if he's running the point and he's, kind of controlling and captain of the ship, right? Devin Vassell might not have the ball in his hands as frequent as he's accustomed to, right? Also, Chris Paul, he's going to get his shot attempts. Now, he's not a guy that's going to take, 15 a game, but he's a guy that, say he takes 8 to 10. Harrison Barnes is going to get some shots, right? How many shots a game does Harrison Barnes get? Does he get, 8 to 10? And then Stephon Kelly, right? All of a sudden, you start whittling down to where, Devin Vassell, is he able to maintain the number of shot attempts is the question. Again, last year he averaged 15.5. The year before that he averaged 15.7. So he's basically been around 15 to 16 field goal attempts per game. Does that drop, right? Does that go to 13 a game? And that's not counting Victor Wembanyama taking, because Victor's going to be your number one option, right? Victor's is your best player. Chris Paul is going to make sure to get Victor that ball as much as possible and recognize the mismatches and all that stuff. So there's also the question, does Devin Vassell maybe even regress a little bit? Not in efficiency and stuff like that, but does he get the shot attempts in order to maybe jump up to that 25 a game guy or 23 a game guy, right? Because you gotta factor all these little pieces in. You gotta factor in Victor taking the next step and him potentially getting more shot attempts, right? And him kind of, being more of a focal point, especially with Chris Paul. Again, Chris Paul is going to take his attempts. Harrison Barnes is going to get some attempts, right? Keldon Johnson, right? He's going to be taking attempts. Stephon Kessel, right? You start going down the list now, and it's like now you have, a handful of players that you didn't have last year and the year prior, to where Vassell basically had the green light. And he was able to do and go off and score and do all the things that, he wanted to do. Where now it might not be that way. Now, again, I do believe in Devin Vassell. I do like his game. I do think he needs some development. He can kind of get tunnel vision at times, but a lot of two guards, a lot of guys that are out there to score do that. Right? He at times can be a little vacuum scorer, right? He's not to the level of like a Keldon Johnson. Like Keldon Johnson's like, he's always got the green light, right? Where Devin Vassell, he's kind of, he can do a little bit of everything on the court, but things are starting to change and are going to continue to change. Spurs are going to start moving into that wave and direction of like, hey, we want to contend. We want to build a contending team. So Devin Vassell is going to have to make sacrifices and be willing to adapt and adjust. And, hey, tonight you might only get 10 attempts, but next game you might have the hot hand. You might get 20, right? Like, so he's going to have to be able to be and find those middle grounds. Again, maybe he is a huge focal point, right? I mean, look, if he's cooking, he's a bucket getter, and he's all those things that the Spurs need him to be, and he can kind of take that next step, take that next stride, kind of move into the direction of like, no, he might, maybe even the primary scoring option. I mean, Victor, again, is going to be your best player and the best option, but I'm talking about outside of like, like consistently shooting, just being able to create for himself, go get a bucket type guy, right? Devin Vassell might be your best option for that, right? Shooting over the top, all that stuff, shooting off the dribble, all of that. Right, if he can be their like go-to scorer, especially maybe even closer down the stretch, where games on the line, give the ball to Vassell and he's the guy bringing you home, then I think he will get his attempts. I think he will be fine. But again, there's probably going to be that adjustment. It's probably going to be that learning curve. It's going to be that kind of feeling out process at times. But I'm excited for next season for him. I'm excited to see. Now, what does he look like next to Chris Paul? What does he look like, another year alongside Victor, right? Can he continue to take those strides? Because, Chris Paul, if he's cooking, Chris Paul is going to find him, right? So, him being able to adjust more off ball, I'd like to see him lock in and be more focused on the defensive side of things, right? He's shown and had moments where when he's locked in and engaged, can defend. But can he consistently put that effort in on the defensive side? Because you're gonna need to get stops too. Like a lot of guys in this league that can score, not a lot of guys that can score and defend. I'd like to see him continue to improve on his game, continue to improve on his efficiency, and kind of take those next steps and those next strides. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you think he'll be fine? He's going to take those strides. He's going to take those steps. Do you have concerns that he might not get the shot attempts regularly that he's accustomed to? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.